Yay.
Says it's streaming.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to episode 5 of Candid Conversations. The City Block team is joined by one of our amazing clients, Mary Jo, who is the president and CEO from Healthy Bytes. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Healthy Bytes, Mary Jo will dig into the background of it here shortly. But as we near the end of 2020, health is always on your mind as you're heading into a new year. But I think more than ever, we're all looking for that fresh start. So the goal of Healthy Bytes is to really connect patients to registered dietitians in the easiest way possible, which is usually telehealth nowadays. But before we jump in, I just want to quickly really introduce our team. So I'm Lindsay, I'm the founder of City Block.
I'm Amanda, and I'm the Director of Content Strategy.
I'm Lexi, and I'm the Media and Marketing Associate.
Thanks, team. All right, everyone, thank you again for tuning in. And Mary Jo, we are so happy to have you.
Happy to be here.
Will you please give our everyone watching a little overview of your background and Healthy Bytes?
Sure. So Healthy Bytes employs registered dietitians and connects them to people who want to see a registered dietitian. And something a lot of people don't know is they have a healthcare benefit card. Everybody has one in their wallet or their purse or their pocket. And that includes a benefit for you to see and spend time with a registered dietitian. So registered dietitians have special training in nutrition and in helping people to figure out how to best eat, best manage their food, because what we know now, and maybe it was sort of always obvious, but I think it's been lost for a long time, is that how we eat affects all parts of our life. It affects how we feel, how many medicines we might need to take, how much our joints ache. And if you have a particular problem like cancer or some other chronic issue, then it really makes a difference in how you respond to treatment and how you feel and those sorts of things. So we're excited, and I'm excited to be here. I've been the CEO about 18 months, and I'm excited to be here and help bring this great resource to a lot more people.
Thank you for
We're
sharing.
really, really excited to have you here. So have you guys always been a telehealth service, or has COVID-19 kind of pushed you guys in that direction?
So our intent was always to be a telehealth service. My background is in telehealth. I've run a couple of companies in the telehealth space. And it's so much more convenient for both the dietitian as well as the customer, patient, whatever word you want to use there, because you can have a meeting from anywhere. You could be in your car, on your mobile phone, you could be at home, you could be at your work desk with your earbuds in and have the conversation. And unlike some other things in telehealth where there's been a question, well, if you're going to see your primary care physician, don't they need to listen to your heart or your lungs and some of those other things that are really important? Meeting with a registered dietitian is a conversation about how you want to, where you want to go, what your goals are, and then how our dietitian can help you get there. So it's perfect for telehealth. Prior to COVID, the payment methods were a little more limited for registered dietitians. So now that's been changed, which really allows us to deliver this in a way that's really better for everybody.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Very cool. Could you maybe give a little bit more of an explanation what a registered dietitian is compared to a nutritionist? Because I think some people might not know the difference between the two.
Yeah, so there's a lot of language, right, around a lot of different things, right? And so a registered dietitian has 4 years of college. They have to take a special exam. They have internships, and they are licensed just like a physical therapist or a doctor or any medical provider. And so that makes, they have a really important level of training, and their training is in nutritional counseling or nutrition. And so I think the word nutritional counseling is important because it's about nutrition, but it's a counseling kind of relationship. Food is a difficult thing. I mean, many of us live in a land of plenty, or we live in a place where we have access to things that maybe aren't always the best food for us. And so trying to learn about that, and then the counseling part is trying to make changes in what we do, right? That's the hard part. And so they have training around that that's really special. The word nutritionist or health coach or different things, in general, those people don't have the same licensing requirements or the same educational requirements. Doesn't mean some of those people can't be great, but it's a very different level of expertise.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mary Jo, so one of the reasons that we have started doing candid conversations is because we're kind of in the background working with our clients, and we feel that the rest of the world and our social followers in particular should be able to peek behind that curtain with us. So one initiative that I know is very important to Healthy Bites is engaging with employers, because more than ever, people are lonely. They're working from home. Can you talk a little bit about what COVID has meant for your base of employer connections? And also, do you have any feedback or tips that HR directors can maybe think about as they go into 2021?
Yeah, so this has been a really hard year if you're an HR manager or director or vice president, right? So it started in February and March where things got shut down and you had to sort with your department how to send people home and then lay people off and how many to bring back, or no, we're not going to bring people back. And then in many cases trying to help people figure out, okay, if I'm sending all these people home, do they have the equipment? Where are the supports? So it's been a lot of work for HR departments this year, and obviously for all the employees, it's been a really hard year. Uh, if you're fortunate enough that you can work from home on Zoom, which all of us can, that's really a great opportunity, but that doesn't mean it's not hard. And so it's hard if you might be home with just your dogs. You might be home trying to distance learn with your kids. You may be sharing your space with a partner, or everybody's on Wi-Fi trying to get their work done. So for the HR managers trying to reach their employees who are, many cases struggling, this is, Healthy Bytes is a great way to do that, can be connected with telehealth. So there's a number of other services around mental health that are connected through telehealth. And I know, you read about these things, people having ugly sweater parties and cooking classes and all of that. But, those are great. They're a lot of fun. But having that personalized one-on-one attention is something that you can offer to your employees with no extra cost to you, the employer. It's part of your benefit package. You're already paying for it through your insurer, and it can really make a meaningful difference for people.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. So we know from writing the content that you work with teachers and the Carpenters Union in St. Louis. What are some other companies maybe that you could talk to us about and how your services benefit them?
So I think all employers can benefit from this, right? It doesn't matter if you're, people's educational level, or if they're in an office, or, if you're on the job site or those sort of things. Everybody can learn something and can make some goals. We do know that 70% of Americans are either overweight or obese, which is a huge number. And that often leads to things like pre-diabetes or diabetes or sore joints or high blood pressure or those sorts of things. So there's always things that people can learn no matter where their job is located or what their education is. And that's what we hope to be able to connect people with, is that kind of information.
Very cool. So moving forward, as you guys kind of pivoted during this past year with COVID, like you said, telehealth was really important before. Are you guys doing any changes in 2021 that you perceive maybe happening with COVID or without? Like, what are you guys' plans for the upcoming year?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say we really pivoted during COVID. I would say, as an entrepreneur, I kind of hate the pivot word anyway. So because I think people use it a little too loosely. So we're doing the same business model. We're still delivering this information and these visits or encounters to people. We're still providing them the same expertise. We're using the same platform, really. The only difference is, instead of seeing somebody's face-to-face, we're seeing it with telehealth. So some companies have really revamped their entire business model to make this work. But for us, within a few days, we were doing telehealth visits. So For our work, it was just adding something that we already had been planning, moving up that timeline a little bit. But it really wasn't, I wouldn't call it a pivot. So 2021, so in 2020, we've been laying the groundwork to really bring this forward to people. We've had good success signing on a number of employers. And then 2021, we'll sign on more employers. And also, though, hopefully have some relationship with medical groups. So a lot of people, they see their doctor, the doctor wants them to see a registered dietitian, and it's kind of hard to connect up with that. It's not a very organized way. So we want to be able to bring on some medical groups in 2021. And then, as you guys know, one of our challenges or things we want to figure out a little bit better is once the employer is engaged, how do we then engage that end employee or that patient of the medical group to really be able to drive the visits that are seen, which is how we drive our revenue and how we really help people by having those visits. So 2021 is going to be a really strong focus on marketing efforts and experimentation in order to figure out how do we, bring that, how do we kind of finish that last mile into the consumer.
Very cool. Thank you.
Mary Jo, so we just talked about what we have to look forward to. Can you tell us a little bit more about the background, how Healthy Bytes got started?
Yeah, so Healthy Bytes was actually started about 5 years ago by somebody who's actually a data scientist and a nutritionist, but wasn't an official registered dietitian, but really saw this need within the registered dietitian space to have help with processing claims and engaging with the insurance plans. So the company started down that path. And one of the things that they learned is that for the dietitians, it's pretty hard to build a private practice. And that's true of everybody. It's hard to build a private practice if you're a small business, right? So whether you're physical therapy or you're a primary care doctor, you're an orthopedist, anybody in healthcare, it's hard to build a private practice. And so what we've been doing since I came about 18 months ago is really we employ the dietitian and we're taking responsibility for getting them the business and to keep busy. And that's really what the change, and it is a true pivot on that one. So we went from really more of a tech company to a services company, but there's just such a big opportunity with the gap we have. I mean, it's more than a $2 billion marketplace of people who would like to have a dietitian and dietitians who are available and just need to be connected.
Thank you.
So as we move into 2021, I know they always set a health goal at the beginning of the year. I do it all the time and I rarely follow it, but I've been writing for you guys now and I've been looking for healthy tips for the holiday season. Do you have any unique ones that we maybe haven't talked about yet that you could share right now?
That's a good question. So in general, I believe, and registered dietitians believe, there are some truly like bad foods, right? So there are certain foods that you should really keep to a minimum because they're just so highly processed that probably if you could substitute or avoid, that would be good. But to me, the holidays are always about all the sweets that are around. And I have a real sweet tooth. So what I've just tried to do over the years is just manage the portion control. So, I still have cookies. I just don't have as many as I want, So that's kind of the way I've been managing it for years. And I think that's something that our dietitians recommend quite a bit. If you just, be really mindful, think through what you're doing and, don't have a dozen cookies, have 2 and really, really enjoy them, that kind of thing. So anyhow, and also it's, at least for me, I love to bake and I've been baking more like everybody else during this time and watching the Great British Baking Show like everybody else. So, find some friends you can give, who don't bake or who aren't interested or have, little kids who are running around all day long, burning off a lot of energy. They can have an extra cookie, that can be, give that to your friends.
I love that idea.
That is a great idea. Amanda and I actually baked cookies recently and we both gave them to our family, so we didn't have half.
Right.
We're not healthy cookies.
Or
No,
freeze them. You can freeze almost all cookies, and then you can just have them for several months here and there.
that's very true. That's smart.
Yep.
One other, I just lost it. So we have talked a lot about some tips and also what Healthy Bites is, but I still think even when we started working with you, the idea of having that initial meeting with a registered dietitian can be a little scary because I feel like you need to come knowing your problems, knowing potentially how to solve them. But can you just talk to us a little bit about what that first meeting is and also how do you need to prepare for it?
Yeah, so I'm sorry it feels scary because it's
Only because I know
well, right, we all maybe because we're worried that what we tell somebody will be criticized, right?
right.
But so really that first meeting is really a discovery for the dietitian and maybe for the client as well. But it's really a discovery for the dietitian, what are your goals?
Mhm.
Some people, I have a friend who was having some hip pain and really didn't want to have, his hip worked on. And doctor said, you are about like 40 pounds overweight. If you lost some of that weight, your hip wouldn't hurt as much. And so, as that happened, his hip started hurting less and it doesn't hurt anymore. So maybe that was his particular goal. Some people have, some people are undergoing cancer treatment and it does a lot of things to your stomach and maybe to your mouth, and you're trying to, how do I eat enough to make sure I get enough calories so that I can really try to stay well during a difficult time. So it really depends on the goals, and that's what the dietitian trying to discover. First of all, what are your goals? What do you want to do? What do you want to get out of this? Maybe your doctor told you had prediabetes, and prediabetes is pretty much 100% reversible. So so is a lot of diabetes. So maybe you come, that's your goal. I don't want this to advance, or I want to try to reverse this. And then that's one piece of the discovery, the goals. The next piece is, what are your current habits? What do you like to eat now? What do you don't want to eat? Or where, what do you cook? No, you don't like to cook. Do you have to cook for your family? Or, are you forced, not in back in the day when we all went out to business dinner, sometimes do you have a lot of entertaining you have to do, and how do you manage that? So just learning what the person has going on in their life around food and what they're interested in doing. There's all kinds of ways you can skin the cat, but you got to start from where you are and not some dreaming up thing, and then try to put together some action steps around that. So you'll try one thing and you'll meet again in 3 weeks and then say, okay, how did that one thing go? Can we add something else? Or maybe, these 2 or 3 things didn't really work. So let's try to figure out some other stuff. Until over time, you can sort of put yourself into new patterns and new habits. And the goal is that those are lifelong patterns and habits that you can adjust to. I feel like, this whole quote diet industry has really done a lot of us a disservice. And, whether it's South Beach or Atkins or paleo or the grapefruit diet or the Cheerios, whatever, there's a lot of great, wonderful foods in the world, and taking all of those in a healthy way, it's a really satisfying life. And so, trying to help somebody kind of get back to that is part of what we're trying to do.
Thank you.
I think that's really cool that you can you talk about the visit more as like a conversation and a goal setting session than like, this is everything that you're doing wrong, this is how we're gonna like fix you, because I think that's what a lot of people think it is, and they're like, I'm good. So yeah. I love that that's like the conversation you guys are promoting.
Yeah, because what works for one person doesn't work for another. I mean, if somebody travels a lot before, like you're on an airplane 2 or 3 days a week, that's a very different solution than somebody who's able to cook for themselves and wants to cook for themselves or their family every day. Those are, it has to really be individualized. And that's why it's so important to have somebody with the training that can, again, meet you where you are and come up with some solutions that'll work.
And that's also kind of what I've thought to be most enlightening about writing your content, is that being healthy isn't necessarily like a goal. It's something, I mean, it's a goal, but it continues. It's like a series of like tiny lifestyle choices that never stops.
Yeah. Well, it's a pick a healthy lifestyle, whatever word you want to use, but it's not like you're going to exercise for a month and never exercise again the rest of your life, right? Or what's another good example? It's not like you're going to color your hair once and never color it again the rest of your life. So some of these things you have to do repeatedly for them to work.
Thank you. I'm glad that we got to have this conversation with you right before the year end too. As I know we all personally, we've been talking a lot about our goals for 2021. My goal is to look very confident in my wedding dress in May. And we're very close to that. So it's time to get on the horse. So Mary Jo, can you tell our follow or anyone that's tuning in, can you tell them where to find out more information about Healthy Bytes?
Sure. So our website is Healthy Bytes, spelled BYTES, Inc.com. And you can find a lot of great information there, either on the blog or just information about how it works. And you can even make an appointment straight from the website.
Thank you. All right. Well, and also on the website, you can find out which insurance providers are covered with Healthy Bytes. So thank you so much, Mary Jo. Any other questions, Amanda or Lexi?
I don't think so, but thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you guys for having me. I really enjoyed the conversation. Thanks a lot.
And anyone that's watching, thank you for tuning in again. As we've said, Candid Conversation is really an opportunity for us to highlight the important work being done by our clients. And now more than ever, we're isolated, and I think it's really important that we all think about our health and kind of put it front and foremost right now. So thank you, Mary Jo.
Thank you, Lindsay.
All right. Thanks, everybody. And we'll see you next week for the next episode of Candid Conversations. Bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.